All right, good evening. Let's call this regular board meeting to order. And we'll kick off our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our friends from Tomahawk Elementary. Welcome. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do you all want to go around to the, would you mind coming around to the podium and either introduce yourselves or be introduced, however you want to do that?
Hi, I'm William Gopin, and I'm in 6th grade.
Excellent. What's your favorite thing for lunch? From the hot lunch menu?
Pizza.
Pizza. Excellent. All right.
Hi, I'm Quinn Welch from Tomahawk, from 6th grade.
Do you have a lunch favorite?
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches. All right.
I'm Mila Aniel in 6th grade.
And your lunch favorite?
Probably sandwiches.
Sandwiches. Excellent. All right.
I'm Carson Allen in 6th grade, and my favorite lunch food is the spicy chicken sandwich.
Spicy chicken sandwich. Excellent. All right.
And so these are students from Tomahawk Elementary, and they are on the safety patrol. So they volunteer and apply, like a job application, to work outside in all types of weather to help keep children safe and parents safe too sometimes. So they do a really great job, and they get to be good role models and get to be responsible, and the kids really look up to them. So they do a great job.
Great.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for being here. All right, best part. Okay, so unless there are no changes to the agenda, I'm looking for a motion to adopt.
So moved, Owsley.
Thank you. Second?
Oh, second, Goodburn.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Stratton, we didn't hear from.
Aye.
All right. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And I should mention that Ms. Borgman and Mr. Stratton will be joining us by phone. All right, we have 3 related minutes, and if there are no changes, I'm seeking a motion to approve minutes from 1.4 to 1.6.
Move approval, Hembry.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Owsley.
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Dr. Hubbard, can you take us away with the superintendent's report?
Absolutely. So we're excited because this Wednesday we will gather for the annual fall breakfast. The event is held at the Overland Park Convention Center, starting with coffee and conversation at 7 and the program at 7:30. I'll provide an update on the district, and our community will get to hear from our amazing students and team members. As you know, this event supports the work of the Shawnee Mission Education Foundation. We thank everyone in our community for supporting this event and for celebrating all the ways that we shine as one Shawnee Mission. If you're looking for a preview of what's in store this Wednesday morning at the breakfast, we invite you to watch or download and listen to episode 3 of the podcast. Dr. Jeremy Higgins, Director of Secondary Education, and I were thrilled to welcome Kim Hinkle, Executive Director of the Foundation, to the podcast, along with our very first student guest. Luis Guzman, Shawnee Mission North Senior, and Kim Hinkle joined us to talk about the breakfast and how the Foundation supports students and staff throughout the year. We'll include a link in the recap for the video of the podcast and links for download. This month, we kicked off our 3rd year of Read Across SMSD, a celebration of reading for all of our schools. The focus for the month of September is Tackle Challenges Together. I spent some time with Crestview Elementary students talking about what that means to them. Let's take a look.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Hubbard, and I'm so honored to serve as the superintendent for the Shawnee Mission School District. I am excited to kick off a new year of Read Across to SMSD. Our theme for the month of September is Tackle Challenges Together. This month's elementary book is The Coquis Still Sing by Karina Nicole Gonzalez. This story is about Alina, who lives in Puerto Rico. She and her family survive a terrible hurricane. They go through some very hard times as they work to rebuild. One thing that helps Alina out after this loss is thinking about all the things she does have. Thinking about her community and her roots help her get through. As we start a new school year, I know we will all face some amazing times, but we will also face challenges. I'm so excited to be with students from Crestview Elementary School who are going to follow Alina's example and share some parts of our school communities we can think about to help us keep smiling through those tough times.
School helps me stay focused on my life. Sometimes I get distracted by all the amazing things in our world. Being a student at Crestview helps me stay grounded and focused on the important things, so I will be able to succeed.
The teachers at Crestview helped me read better. At first, I wasn't the best at reading. It was really hard. I've gotten better and better, and the teachers have helped support me.
It's better with friends. When I fall down, a friend can help me up. When they fall down, I can help them. That's what friends do.
Thank you everyone for joining me today. I know we can get through so many challenges because we are truly one Shawnee Mission. I'm so thankful for all the community support we have for our schools. And here's a perfect example. Read Across to SMSD continues in our schools through the partnership with NEA Shawnee Mission and the Shawnee Mission Education Foundation.
We are so excited to kick off another season of Read Across SMSD. We are proud to help create a sense of belonging for every student through reading.
All of us at the Shawnee Mission Education Foundation are so glad to make sure that every school in our district has access to Read Across SMSD books. Let's read across SMSD!
Again, we are so very thankful for our partners in continuing to bring Read Across Shawnee Mission to all of our schools. The annual district staff art show is in full swing here at the Center for Academic Achievement with more than 35 outstanding art pieces on display here in the boardroom and in the lobby, out in the lobby area. The gallery space in the lobby area. This amazing collection includes pieces from office, technical support, and custodial staff, as well as teachers across all grade levels who teach a variety of subjects and contents. Later this month, one winning piece will be selected to become a part of the district's permanent collection, which is on display annually at the Center for Academic Achievement, May through July. If you've not had a chance to view this year's marvelous staff art, you still have time. The show is on display here at normal Center for Academic Achievement business hours through the end of September. Thank you to all of the creative Shawnee Mission staff members who shared their gifts and passion with us. The talent in one Shawnee Mission shines bright in our staff, and we look forward to continuing to recognize their creative skills in this annual show. We know that strong family support helps our students shine, and I have several PTA recognitions that demonstrate just how strong these connections are in Shawnee Mission. Tash Davis, longtime PTA leader and district communications specialist, was honored with a Life Achievement Award from the National PTA. She has dedicated nearly 20 years to PTA, has served as a Shawnee Mission Area Council President multiple times since 2014, and we couldn't even begin to calculate the impact she has had on individual school buildings and on the betterment of the state of national PTA work. A Life Achievement Award was all presented to Lori Stanziola for her longtime dedication to PTA and also for her work to improve the Reflections student art program in the Shawnee Mission School District. Becky Richmond was honored with the Kansas PTA Lifetime Achievement Award for her dedication to the Reflections program. We are so thankful to Lori and Becky for all the ways they have helped spotlight and honor student talent and creativity through the Reflections program. Broken Arrow has been recognized by National PTA as a school of excellence, an honor given to schools with strong partnerships that enrich the overall well-being of schools. The Shawnee Mission Area Council PTA also presented its annual Jim Baucom Volunteer of the Year Award. This year's honor was presented to Briarwood Elementary, the first to provide a PTA partner program. Through this partner program, a PTA provides support for staff and students who do not have an active PTA in their buildings. Briarwood provided this support to the Shawnee Mission Early Childhood Center and soon will expand to support Arrowhead. I want to extend my own congratulations to Tash, Lori, Becky, Broken Arrow, and Briarwood. We all appreciate your dedication and support of our schools. You are truly demonstrate what it means to be one Shawnee Mission and to help our students shine. We're excited to see a Comanche teacher receive local recognition for excellence in the classroom. Carolyn Wolf, a pre-kindergarten teacher, was recognized as a Fox 4 August Teacher of the Month. Fox 4 recognized her work to help every student progress in the classroom and shared a story about Wolf. As part of the honor, she received a $750 prize. We'll include a link to the recap so you can see the honor Carolyn received. Shawnee Mission will be hosting a career fair focused on non-teaching positions from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursday, September 21st, here at the Center for Academic Achievement. Positions include paraeducators, food service assistants, custodians, operations and maintenance team members, and aides. At this fair, attendees will have an opportunity to learn more about specific positions, walk through the application process, and showcase skills and abilities through a screening interview. We'll also include a link in the recap to our application page. We encourage everyone to share this information with anyone who may be interested. Tonight, we are excited to honor 2 outstanding teachers who have been honored as part of the Kansas Teacher of the Year program. Our first honoree was honored by her school, the district, and then by the state as a semifinalist. I invite Rob Shackelford, Arrowhead Principal, to help us introduce our first honoree.
Thank you guys for having me here tonight. I wrote down a few words and then I forgot them at the building, so I'm going to focus on the word that kept standing out to me on the things that I wrote, and that is the word heart. So I'm going to speak from my heart, and I want to speak to Sarah from my heart and to her family and to the people that are here to support her today from my heart. Sarah is about heart. She does everything from her heart. She teaches with heart. She loves with heart. She comes to work every single day with heart. She truly is an all-star. I can't explain. I could talk about the things that she does day in and day out. She has great pedagogy. She's well-versed in education, SPED. But in reality, what she does every day is she loves kids, and she teaches from her heart. And that's what truly makes her an amazing teacher and an excellent candidate for the All-Star Award. So let's take a moment and watch Sarah.
I think one of the things that really stands out for Sarah is that when you think about individualized and personalized, when you really think about how we can truly serve kids at that very foundational level and really meet them where they're at, that defines Sarah's approach.
Sarah's working on an opportunity for all of the high schoolers and middle schoolers to go over to the district's clothing closet. And this will give them an opportunity to work there, gain skills, and then an opportunity to shop, like as their payment. That's a really great real-world learning opportunity.
I think she has a great heart. She just is very in tune with the world and the what's delivered to our kids, and being able to navigate those resources for them and help them navigate it for when they leave here. I think she's just one of those people that gets our kids. Like she understands it, and she's seen so many different things, and she's worked with so many different levels of needs that this seems to just be natural for her to work with students that really do need her.
Well, we were so excited that she got semifinalists for Teacher of the Year. We're a small school, and small student population, and so to be able to have a teacher from here, when we have a lot of teachers that are doing a lot of good work here, but to have one of ours go that far was very exciting.
Congratulations, Sarah. No one deserves it more than you.
Congratulations. You so deserve this, and I'm so proud of you and so glad to be a part of your team.
I'm so proud of you. You've totally earned this. You've worked hard. You've worked on your off time. You've been creative and pushed the boundaries with what we could do, and you really made it happen. You rock it.
Congratulations, Sarah. And thank you for making sure that other people around you are all-stars as well, because you truly believe that. Without their support and the work they do, this may not be possible for you, and you want it that way, and you deserve it.
Thank you very much. I really could not, it's a team at Arrowhead. If you ever want to see a team that just works together and cheers each other on, that's really what it's about. And there is no way in the world I would be able to do this without everyone classified and certified staff at Arrowhead. It's just a great place, so thank you.
Congratulations again, Sarah. Our next honoree this evening has been honored as a finalist in the Kansas Teacher of the Year program. I now invite Kelly Swift, principal at Roseland Elementary School, to introduce our next honoree.
Good evening. Tonight I have the privilege to introduce Michelle Tapko as one of our Shawnee Mission All-Stars. Michelle has been changing student lives in 6th grade as a teacher for 19 years, with 16 of those that have directly impacted the students at Roseland Elementary. She is an inspiring and remarkable teacher who is most deserving to be a Shawnee Mission All-Star. She has earned the recent title of Region 3 Kansas Teacher of the Year and will go on to Wichita next month as a Kansas Teacher of the Year state nominee. This honor is for her recognition of her skills, relationships, and dedication to the teaching profession and numerous students she has positively impacted over the year. Tonight with us we have Elizabeth Medina. She is a parent who has had the privilege of all 5 of her kids attend Roseland and have Mrs. Tapko as a 6th grade teacher. And she says that she has been able to witness Mrs. Tapko's daily interaction with all of her kids. And she is a wonderful, very outgoing, understanding, compassionate, and dedicated teacher. Mrs. Tapko truly deserves this award, and I am honored to be a part of this special moment for her. And one of her 5 children is here with me also tonight. This is Ariana, and she has left Roseland now for Hawker. She's in 8th grade, and she has a little piece she'd like to say about Mrs. Tapko also.
I would just like to say that having Miss Tapko as not only a teacher but also a family friend is such a blessing. She's always been someone that I could always go to and talk to, and she's so good at encouraging her students to be the best person that they can. She's an amazing teacher and explains everything, and I remember personally when I was struggling with just not being caught up with work and not getting it, Mrs. Tapko was always there encouraging me, and she was always right by my side through the whole way. She was there for me at my lowest and best times, and I'm so proud of her for getting this far and being nominated, and I'm wishing her the best of luck.
So now if you could please shift your attention to the All-Star video.
Yeah, she lied about her identity. She lied about her identity.
Did she lie about her identity or did she portray it differently?
I've known Miss Tapko since I think I was in kindergarten, and I've always wanted her since I was in kindergarten because she seemed like the best teacher in the school, and she is.
Michelle is just so good at building relationships, not only with people within her community and our school and parents and students, but also within her curriculum. I think what makes her really special is that she's able to take anything and make it meaningful to a student, something that they want to work for and to learn all the way.
Like when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and I just saw him and I was like, man, I want that teacher so bad. Instead of just spitting stuff at you and expecting you to remember it, she like actually tries to make learning fun, which I really like about her.
One thing that I love about her is that she truly cares about you. She listens to you and really knows your life. And I feel like she does that for staff and for students. So Michelle was actually my mentor my first year of teaching, and something I really appreciated about her was that I could learn from her, but then she was also wanting to learn from me.
I really just prayed that I got her as a teacher for 6th grade because she has shown that other students that I know have been in like the grade above me or like 2 grades above me, that she is just a really good teacher and you want to have her.
Michelle's just a genuinely kind human being. She truly cares from the bottom of her heart. She wants everyone to feel loved and seen and valued and appreciated. Even if you're a student, a teacher, she values you.
She's always talking about, kids that are at North or kids that are at Hawker and following up, and she is always keeping an eye on all students. They're once a Roseland kid, always a Roseland kid.
And please welcome Michelle Tapko, our Shawnee Mission All-Star.
Thank you very much. So, my people, it's very good to have. Elizabeth's oldest daughter was in my first class when I came back from teaching after being home with my girls, and I was a little shaky about coming back because I wanted to be with my baby still. So she has seen me through a lot. So we've grown a lot together. Thank you so much for this award and allowing me to do what I do every day. I love the kids. I grew up in this district, so I love this district very much, and I just every day is a different day, especially in 6th grade. It's very exciting, but it makes it so that it's challenging and it's rewarding, and I just thank you for the recognition.
Congratulations again, Michelle. I would also tell you all that if you are interested in learning a lot more about Ms. Tapko, she's going to be the guest on the next Shawnee Mission Mic'd Up, and that will be dropping on September 21st, episode 4. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. Thanks for being here tonight. That concludes my superintendent report.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Hubbard. So this brings us to 2.2, the board reports. And so I'll look down to Ms. Boyd Nerona. Do you have anything you want to add for SMAC PTA?
Sure, just a recap from their annual SMAC PTA President and Principal Breakfast that was held on the 6th here at the CAW. I wasn't surprised, but excited that they filled this room with principals and supporters and presidents of the PTA, which was very encouraging. I almost wanted to get back into the classroom myself, but I didn't. Myself, Superintendent Hubbard, and President Sinclair were on the agenda, so we spoke and gave our thanks and appreciation for all that SMAC PTA does to keep the district adhesive between the families, the schools, the students, and all the stakeholders in the area. So excited and happy that they kicked off that event for the school year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that update. It was a fun event. Okay, Ms. Owsley, one last plug for the Education Foundation?
So one last plug for the breakfast this week. You can still purchase your tickets online. Ask me how I know, and they will get you a seat at the table. In any event, it's always a wonderful time. It's always a nice, uplifting piece of the week to see our shining students and hear from Dr. Hubbard, and so we're looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Right, and Mr. Stratton, is there anything you need to update us on for KASB Board of Directors?
No report, thank you.
Okay, and back to you, Ms. Owsley, Legislative Committee for KASB.
The update is KASB presented here in the district today to some of our local legislators. I know you were there, Dr. Sinclair and Dr. Hubbard was there.
And Ms. Hembry.
And Ms. Hembry. And so if folks want to have an opportunity to review the legislative platform for KASB, they can, and if they have any questions, they can direct them to Dr. Hubbard, and we'll, incorporate that and get feedback back to KASB before we have an opportunity to meet and vote on that. So, thank you for those who were able to attend today. I heard from legislators that it was a valuable experience.
It was good. We had good discussions today. All right, thank you for that. Okay, so Ms. Borgman, I think we're good on nominating committee. Jump in if there's anything else. Policy Review Committee, Ms. Goodburn.
Other than we have second reads on 7.1 through 7.4 tonight on the agenda, second reads on policy, and then our next meeting is November 14th, 3 p.m. in room 2043.
Okay, is there anything else? Mr. Stratton, anything on finance and facilities you can think of?
No updates since our last meeting.
Okay, we just have the one position open for sure, so that opportunity to apply for that seat with the Shawnee Mission Northwest. And I believe Ms. Borgman's made has a nominee. Okay, and I think, all right, so is that good with board reports? All right, okay, thank you for that. So that brings us to 2.03, the board financial report. Dr. Hubbard.
So attached, you'll see the board report, the board financial report, as well as the SR3 expenditure report, and those are as of August of 2023.
Okay. Any questions? I just want to just confirm, so the SR3 funds really theoretically should be spent out primarily by the end of this school year. I think we have till September technically to.
So we have September 30th to have them obligated. I was going to say accounted for, encumbered, obligated, and then we have to actually fully spend by December.
By December, okay. I can't believe we're approaching the end of those funds. Okay. Any other questions or? Okay. Thank you. That brings us to our discussion items. 3.1, the Human Resources Program update. Dr. Hubbard.
So the first discussion item we have is a Human Resource Program update, and so I will toss this to Dr. Schumacher to get us started.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hubbard and Dr. Sinclair. Good evening to the Board of Education, and thank you very much for the time tonight. I have with me an incredibly talented group of educators grabbing their seats right now. Not only the ones sitting around the table, but others who will be introduced at various portions of our presentation tonight.
Thank you all for being here.
Trying to
Did you
click.
guys coordinate the blue outfits, or was that coincidental?
I'm trying to click.
Just thinking they didn't get the memo to Dr. Schumacher.
I did not get the memo. Yeah. Okay, perfect. As we all know, what guides the work and actions of the SMSD is our strategic plan, and it's important to always remind ourselves of our district mission. We believe that throughout this report, you're going to see directly how we support our talented and compassionate educators in our inclusive culture, with our engaged community, and while providing our students with robust opportunities. So as we transition to the details of our report, let me call your attention back to our department philosophy and goals. Two parts in particular. Number one is the top bullet. You've heard this team say time and time again that people are our greatest resource, and of course we truly believe that. Tonight we're going to tell our story by showcasing some of our people. They're going to help us tell our story. And number 2, which is new this year, is our hashtag of We Shine, Kids Shine, and we'll address that as well. You've seen this slide as well, and each of the HR functions are detailed in length within our report. However, for the sake of time and for a more entertaining presentation, we aren't going to break each of these out in the following slides. Rather, we're again going to address these functions by telling our story again through our people and by detailing our new initiatives. We believe that every single member of the organization is responsible for impacting student achievement. In response to that, the district developed wildly important goals that directly address student success. Here on this slide, our HR WIG that again addresses student achievement. I'm of course again not going to read this slide to you, but I do want to call out what will be our lead and lag measures. For the sake of providing you a succinct presentation, tonight we're not going to address all of the initiatives and actions, but rather we are calling out the lead measures that are new and or are expanding this year. We are also looking to improve our outcomes by achieving those lag measures you see on the slide. Retention rate, diversity of our staff, and closing the gap on classified vacancies. We shine, kids shine. Again, for this presentation, we're going to focus on our people, examples of how we're engaging with them. This slide shows our people in the many ways in which our team works with them on a daily basis. Here you see us recruiting. You see our incredible and talented SMSD recruit team. You see the new team member academy. You see a DEIB learning session. And there at the bottom, you see our entire and complete HR team. I'm excited for you to hear from our greatest resources in the coming slides. And with that, I'll throw it to Dr. Higgins.
As Dr. Schumacher just mentioned, the focus of this presentation is about our people. And part of talking about our people involves reflecting on, reviewing, and discussing our demographic data. This is very important to our team and is reflected over the next couple of slides. On the slides, you will see both raw numbers and percentages, as we believe it's important to consider both of these metrics when looking at this data. Our administrative team demographic information is here first. Our administrative team is made up of building and district administrators and totals 137 employees this school year. You can see the breakdown for each of those demographic categories. The Asian Pacific Islander category remained at 1 employee. The Black category decreased by 1 employee. Caucasian increased by 1 employee, Hispanic increased by 1, and the multiracial category increased by 1 employee as well. Next is the demographic data for our certified staff. We're really proud of the recruitment efforts that have been taking place, and the data shows some really nice gains within these categories. All of the categories except for Caucasian and multiracial showed an increase from last year. Within this, you can see that the number of Black certified staff members increased from 33 to 47, and the number of Hispanic certified staff members increased from 58 to 80. Now, I do want to mention here why it's important to look at both the raw number and the percentage. When you look at the Hispanic category, for example, the percentage growth is less than 1%. It's 0.91%, which may not seem very extravagant, right? It doesn't seem like very much. But when you look at the actual raw numbers, a growth of 22 educators within this category is significant and should be celebrated. As you know, recruiting a diverse workforce has been a very intentional focus for this team. So this data is exciting for us and also for our students, and we are hopeful that these gains continue in the years to come.
When looking at our classified, I think this is over. We'll go with this one right here. When looking at our classified data, as you can see, some of the numbers have definitely dropped, and a lot of that is we own it. We own our data. We see that we have fewer employees right now at that level, and that also means too that we have vacancies that exist. So we see that our drop in our African American population or demographic, we've seen that. We also see it as well in our Caucasian as well. Our Hispanic numbers dropped slightly. Our multiracial also had a slight decrease. What we are anticipating, though, as we continue to fill those vacancies, we strive to attract a diverse group of employees, a diverse group of individuals who can continue to support our schools. There are some things that you will hear later on that we're doing that will hopefully take away any biases that may exist, that may prevent individuals from pursuing opportunities here in the Shawnee Mission School District.
Let's now take a look at two new pieces of data that we are sharing with you this year. After questions from the board over the last couple of years, we started tracking the retention rate within our certified employees. The retention rate is determined by looking at the number of certified employees we have this year and how many of those were retained from the previous year. The retention rate data that you see does not take into consideration the reason why an employee wasn't retained, just if they were retained or not. The table that you see on the slide here shows the 3-year trend for our retention rate and is broken down by the overall district percentage and then also by level. So we've got the elementary, the high school, and the middle school retention rates. Now, having this retention rate data is good and is very much needed, but we want to know why people are leaving the district so that we can try to determine those causes. And that is where the turnover rate data comes into play. Turnover rate is simply the percentage of employees who are not retained or who left the district. Our HR team does a tremendous job of tracking specific reasons why these employees leave the district as they noted on their resignation/retirement form. Looking at the turnover rate allows us to get much more specific about the reasons why people are leaving the district. As you can see, people retiring made up 24.06% of our retention rate. Now, retirement isn't always something that we can control. We may have retained these people year over year for 20 to 30 years, but the time came for them to retire, and we are great with that. Two other data points that really jump out to us were the number of people leaving the teaching profession altogether at 19.47%, and also the number of employees who took an in-state teaching position at 15.79%. As an HR team, our hope is to be able to gather additional insight into these categories with the hope of being able to influence our employees' experience so that they don't want to leave the teaching profession or join another district. Pam will talk more in depth later on in the presentation about our retention efforts, and then moving forward, you can expect to see this data on a yearly basis.
I'm going to dive in and talk a little bit about our recruitment efforts. Our HR team is committed to providing the best employee experience possible. And this experience begins with the recruitment process. And we believe in truly connecting and getting to know our candidates as a person and understanding their strengths and what is important to them. Our recruitment process is more than a one-time meeting at a career fair event. It's about ongoing connections and giving candidates the opportunity to meet as many SMSD colleagues as possible through our recruitment process. And SMSD Recruit is heading into its 4th year, and the focus of the team continues to grow and evolve from recruitment events to developing the new district retention plan. SMSD is just a critical force in our efforts. With over 700 new certified hires over the course of the past 3 years, it has truly been a team effort from an HR team, our building principals, and SMSD Recruit to hire exceptional staff for our students. I'd like to welcome Olivia Boone, Rose Hill first grade teacher. She has been a part of SMSD Recruit for the past 2 years, and she's going to share her experience. And Javen Betts, a first-year 6th grade teacher at Overland Park Elementary, will share his recruitment and onboarding experience.
As Pam said, I'm Olivia Boone, and I was so grateful to be a part of the recruitment team. It provided me with several opportunities, a few of those being I got to be a part of a teacher panel last year, and I got to spoke on what it looks like being or having a student teacher in the classroom and being a mentor teacher. So the high school students were able to come here at the district office, and we got to answer questions, and I got to share with them what it looks like on my end having a student teacher and how I worked with my student teacher, and also on her end what that looked like in the process for student teaching. And then we got to answer any questions that they had on just what college classes looked like, and so forth. And then I also got to go to the career fairs, which was an amazing opportunity. I went to Pittsburgh State, so I got to go back there, connect with old professors, which was awesome, share with them what we're doing in the district so that they could share with student teachers of just, if they were interested in the Shawnee Mission School District. We also got to connect with a lot of the candidates there, which was awesome. They got to ask us questions, what our experience was like. I got to share my story, how I student taught in the district, and now I got to work in the district. And then also I was a student athlete, so I got to share kind of what that looked like towards the last few semesters as a student athlete, what that looked like, and then moving on into student teaching. And then I also got to recruit my student teacher. So I had a student teacher last year who was incredible, and as soon as I saw her, I texted Pam, and I was like, we've got to get this girl hired.
That's what SMSD Recruit is all about.
It was awesome. It was great. And so, within a week, she texted me and goes, Olivia, I have an interview. And I was like, this is, why we do it. And so now I get to work alongside her, and she teaches first grade next door. So this has provided a lot of opportunities for me to connect with people, recruit people, and just let them know the awesome things that the recruitment team is doing.
All right, good evening, board. Dr. Hubbard, my name is Javen Betts. I'm a proud sixth grade teacher at Overland Park Elementary. So my experience with the Shawnee Mission School District recruiting process was nothing short of amazing. The partnership with the KU School of Education and Human Science was vital to this. This is where I was able to engage in a mock interview with the recruitment team, specifically Pam Lewis. The most impactful recruitment strategies were conversing with first-year teachers in the district at these events to hear their perspectives on the groundwork, resources, and support received as they familiarized themselves with the profession. I also was able to sit in on a diversity professional development session at my building last spring, which showed there was action behind the DEI strategic plan. The continued follow-up from the HR team and mentorship through the process and beyond was impeccable. It's what led me to choose SMSD and now become a part of the recruitment team as a first-year teacher, being a small part of such big work on Team 512. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia and Javen. Really appreciate you guys being here. Next, we want to take this opportunity to shout out our teacher education teachers. Each of the high schools has teacher education programming in their master schedules, and enrollments continue to grow year over year. These teacher education programs serve as our effort to build a pipeline into the teaching profession here in Shawnee Mission. Pam and I have a very collaborative relationship with these teachers, and it was because of this collaboration that last year we had our first ever Teacher Education College Fair and Paraprofessional College Fair. At this time, I'd like to welcome Sarah Dent, who is a teacher at Shawnee Mission Northwest High School, and her student, Margot Sherman, up to the microphone to talk a little bit more about that event.
Hi, I'm Sarah Dent, and this is my 19th year teaching at Shawnee Mission Northwest High School, and I took over teaching the teacher ed program after COVID. The teacher that used to teach teacher ed at Shawnee Mission Northwest was my teacher ed teacher at Shawnee Mission South, and I wanted to become a teacher because of Cindy Swarner, and so I am like living my teacher dream right now to get to be the teacher ed teacher at Shawnee Mission Northwest. And it's really exciting to have a teacher ed program. We have a lot of kids that take this class coming in not knowing if they want to be a teacher, and it's great to be able to try it out before you go to college and spend thousands of dollars on a degree. And so we've seen our program at Northwest specifically grow from about 11 students in 2020 to about 45 this year, and we're excited to continue to see that grow. It was really, really exciting to get to collaborate with Pam and Jeremy about the college fair last year. Every high school, all 5 high schools, brought students over to sit in on different panels about resume building and learning from first-year teachers and student teachers about what daily life is like, and then got a chance to interact with the different colleges that came for the college fair. And so Margot is going to talk just a little bit about her experience as a student while she was here at that college fair.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous. You're going to have to bear with me for a little bit.
You do great.
Hi, my name is Margot Sherman, and I'm a senior at Shawnee Mission Northwest High School, and this is my second year enrolled in the teacher education program. And I am also at Raymarsh Elementary with Susan Peters for the second year in a row. I am planning to learn how to get more involved with students and teaching actual lesson plans, whereas the first year I was just getting to know the ropes of actually being like a helpful student teacher. Last year there was the Teacher Education College Fair, sorry, and we got to hear from a lot of different teachers, first years, on how to build a resume, how to, gosh, I'm blanking. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. What the day in the life was like. I'm sorry. And
You're
just
doing
to
great.
be able to ask questions on how we can learn more about being a teacher. And then afterwards, we had the fair where we got to go around and see the actual colleges. And me, myself, I'm a bigger colleges kind of person, but I did like the opportunity to getting to know all the smaller colleges and what they had to offer as a teacher education program. It was a great experience, and I would love to continue to do that again this year, and I know a lot of others would enjoy it as well. Is that good? Thank you.
Thank you both, Sarah and Margot. We do have another event scheduled for this year. So this fall, we'll have our second annual Teacher Ed College Fair. It's scheduled for November 14th here at the CAA. And we just hope to continue to build the excitement around teacher education and also around the teaching profession in hopes of building that pipeline for our future educators.
Okay, so as I shared, we have hired over 700 new staff members over the past 3 years. And as you can already see from some of them, the passion, skill, and experience they bring to our team is just nothing less than impressive. So these new staff members are replacing teachers that, as Jeremy mentioned, have retired after a dedicated career in Shawnee Mission, as well as staff that are taking opportunities outside of education. SMSD Recruit developed the SMSD Retention Plan, which is being implemented at the district and the building level this school year. There is little research around retention plans in education. Therefore, our team looked to the corporate world for guidance and integrated that into our work. So the SMSD Recruit Leadership Team shared the plan with building administrators in August, and building administrators will work with their building leadership teams to implement the action steps. You can see on the visual that we have the pillars of our action plan, and under each plan there are 2 to 3 action steps. The plan is simple in the effort to be consistent and ensure it is implemented district-wide. I will share an example of an action step from our leadership pillar. So our research on retention reinforced that when employees are given leadership opportunities, it increases employee engagement in the organization. Our leadership pillar aligns with that research, and through our discussions, teachers shared that while many want to serve in leadership roles, they often don't know what the needs of the district are and what opportunities are there for them. So the leadership pillar provides a graphic for teachers to see the wide range of opportunities available to them and is a guide for principals when supporting staff and growing professionally. A component of the pillar is the implementation of annual career connection time between teachers and their administrators. Teachers communicated that one-on-one time and a connection with their principal is important. The career connection time is a time to reflect on celebrations, strengths, and individual goals of the professional. And as leaders, it's our responsibility to invest in our staff, recognize their strengths, and provide them with opportunities to help them reach their goals. Dr. Gonzer will now share actions from our professional learning pillar.
Good evening. It's great to be here with you. We truly believe that retention begins right away in the Shawnee Mission School District. And tonight we want to demonstrate for you the different layers of support that we hope to be able to offer all of our SMSD colleagues throughout a long career with us here in Shawnee Mission. NTA is really that first opportunity or that first layer. It's also heavily influenced by the feedback that we get from our new team members each year. Tonight we wanted to share with you 3 examples of that feedback and how we've used it to improve our NTA programming each and every year. So on the screen in front of you, you see one suggestion that we took from last year's feedback that asked for additional time in content area specific professional learning. As a direct result of that feedback, we switched up our agenda this year and made sure we provided an entire day specifically for that content specific learning. The second suggestion that we received that we took action on was that it was great to have so many resources, but it was a lot of things to keep track of. And if there was one common place that they could go back to and be able to access throughout their first year, that would have been really helpful. So this year we created a digital notebook so that everything they would need and maybe want to refer back to later was all in one spot for them to access easily. The third comment there that you see was regarding Skyward training. That's something that we've always included in New Team Member Academy, but we received the feedback that might be more appropriate at the building level when there's somebody there one by one to guide you, share with you building practices as well. So we took that feedback and we designed a consistent professional learning opportunity that our buildings could use, so it wasn't additional work at the building level, but then they could also put their own personal touches on it. So those are just some of the ways that we were able to modify and improve and grow our New Team Member Academy program this year. Again, it's important that you hear from people throughout this presentation, so I want to invite my colleague Roderick Gaeta from Corinth Elementary to share about his experience at NTA just this past year.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Roderick Gaeta. I'm a 6th grade teacher at Corinth Elementary. I'm a proud dragon and very, very excited to be a part of the Shawnee Mission School District. This is my 22nd year of education. I taught in Michigan for 12 years, and then I was in San Diego for the past 10 years in education as well. And coming into this position, all of the questions I had on my phone that were about 20, 30, a list of 20 or 30 questions were all answered at New Teacher Academy. And two particular things really stood out for me. The first was the rigor of the New Teacher Academy. Having that time to dive into the apps, into the different types of platforms that we're using, as well as the content-specific area PD that we received, really helped prepare entering a brand new district, also a brand new state, and really understanding what our students needed in order for them to be successful. But secondly, that feeling of community from that bus ride that we took from Shawnee Mission East, Northwest, and then throughout the district. I have to admit that day was kind of a hot day, so I was worried about the bus ride. And as we got in there, and just really the feel that you got from the moment you stepped off the bus, the entire ride, seeing all the different schools, seeing the community feel, understanding about Lancer Day, and all the different aspects of our community, having that sense of belonging, that sense of safety was something that really stood out to me in my 22 years of career that I've never felt in other districts as well. So I really applaud the New Teacher Academy, I applaud our district, and the hard work that our HR team has done. Thank you.
So the next layer of support that we aim to provide for our colleagues is through mentorship. And this is a 2-year support opportunity. So in their first year with us, and it continues into the second year. Really our goals for mentorship are to provide a personalized, explicit, and relationship-driven mentoring opportunity. It's personalized by being grounded in a new team member needs assessment that we ask all of our new team members to complete at the beginning of the year. This is a new tool for us to use this year, and really it grounds the work that they will do with their mentor for the remainder of the year. So they'll plan observations, feedback opportunities, professional learning opportunities, all based on what they share in that initial needs assessment at the beginning of the year. And then it's explicit in that it ensures our new team members meet all the requirements for licensure through KSDE. At the end of their second year of teaching, they apply for that professional license, and it can be a little overwhelming to keep track of all of those requirements and the paperwork that goes along with that. So we try to take some of that off their plate and just embed those requirements within our program so they don't have to worry about meeting those requirements. We're here to help them with that. And then finally, of course, it's about relationships, and that's probably the most important piece in all of this. Our HR team partners with building principals to carefully and thoughtfully select mentors each year. Administrators receive some guidance and training early in the spring, and then the mentors receive some annual training at the beginning of the school year as well, so we can be thoughtful and intentional with our efforts. Mentorship is also highly influenced by feedback, and we collect surveys all throughout the year from both our new team members and their mentors.
And a new initiative that's part of the professional learning pillar in the retention plan is new team member cohorts. This is a direct result of feedback from SMSD Recruit and an extension of the mentorship program. Shelby Johnson, 4th grade teacher at Trailwood and a new teacher last year, will share her experience and the why of new team member cohorts.
Good evening. I'm like trying to figure out this microphone. Hi, I'm Shelby, and I was a first-year teacher in Shawnee Mission last year. And Pam's absolutely right. This initiative came right from SMSD Recruit, And then as a first-year teacher, I was in a focus group, really driven by conversations of how to support first-year teachers and ways to do that. And so there was a lot of intentional conversations about making our new teachers feel safe and feel like they have a large support system behind them outside of just their mentor and their building. And so this was direct work from that, allowing teachers to meet with experts in different content areas, and getting to know more people in our district and networking so that they have a large support group and people to lean on when they need it.
So these cohorts are just one more example of the layers of support that we want to provide for all of our colleagues in the Shawnee Mission School District. In addition to having that mentor that you heard about earlier, these cohorts will provide new team members with a group of colleagues that are going through similar things at the same time. It really builds that sense of camaraderie, culture, and really belonging in SMSD. It also provides a consistent communication and guidance from master teachers on timely topics. So some examples of that could include support for hosting conferences in October, or fun reminders on how to reinforce or reteach expectations in January, or partnering when it's time for grade cards, all of those things that our new teachers experience for the first time that first school year. And an added benefit is it's a great opportunity for leadership for our veteran teachers as well, those who may want to lead and mentor but don't necessarily want to leave the classroom to do that. And then finally, our outstanding instructional coaches. Many of the layers so far that I've shared with you tonight have involved those first 2 years in the profession. But what about all of our longstanding or veteran colleagues? Well, we want to support them all throughout their career. And coaching provides that ongoing mentorship and job-embedded professional learning that we've heard from their feedback that they're seeking the most. And thank you for supporting having an instructional coach at every building. We're very proud to be able to offer that support to all of our teachers.
A committee of individuals representing the various work groups and district teams led by the human resources and the budget and finance teams met to develop a new classified pay scale that honors the efforts and skills of our team members, along with making our pay structure easily accessible. Pay structures were reduced from 7 to 2 for our classified non-exempt pay scale that you see there on the screen. We also have a classified exempt pay scale and range that's much smaller, but this right here represents the majority of our classified opportunities. This was a significant accomplishment which allows team members to easily see the various possibilities for growth within SMSD by seeing a consolidated pay scale. We wanted to see that. That was an approach, and it was one that we saw in other districts. As you know, you use what is available and you try to replicate it, and I thought we made it better. But we owned it, and we were able to put together something that I thought really honored our team members. On average, SMSD team members received a pay increase of about 10%. Over a year ago, we were presented with the challenge by you, the board, to ensure that all of our employees were compensated at or above a livable wage. The challenge was accepted. And so we are happy to report that the goal of increasing compensation by ensuring that nearly every step, all but one, I think it's 324 steps on there, I counted them up, it's an 18 by 18 cell or matrix, that classified pay scales and ranges that all of our employees have at least a $15 wage. And that was a huge accomplishment that you challenged us with, and we were happy to push ourselves to get there. Not only has it proven to be a tool for retention and recruitment, many of our former classified employees have also returned to SMSD because of that. We continue to host and attend job fairs, as you heard from Dr. Hubbard, that we have a job fair that's upcoming on the 21st of September. As a means of finding talent, we recruit at the school JAG career fairs. We were invited to be a part of that because Policy JJ, no, it's not named after me, doesn't have my initials. Policy JJ allows us to hire students to work in our positions that are non-hazardous positions, especially our custodial. And so we have that along with other community job fairs that we attend. Recently, we embarked on a new strategy that has yielded positive results. The EW Scripps, which is the parent company of Kansas City's NBC affiliate, KSHB Channel 41, since the end of July, we've promoted classified job vacancies via a 30-second commercial that airs on over 106 streaming networks that are affiliated with EW Scripps. A Google Display Network banner also appears, where we've had over 52,000 over-the-top impressions that are layer targeting. They target our community. It also appears in individuals within the metro area. Under the guidance of our Chief Communications Officer, Mr. David Smith, Dr. Schumacher, and I, we were able to participate in a 3-minute KC Spotlight interview that aired on KSHB 41 3 times within the last 3 weeks. This effort, this new effort, it means that allows us to advertise jobs, but what it has yielded for us is at least a 61% increase in new applicants within the first 3 weeks. And we compare that to last year, and out of those, we have hired many new team members, especially our paraprofessionals, where we know that we had a lot of vacancies over the course of the year, even adding more positions, but we've seen a major leap in closing the gap. Moving forward, we choose and we will begin recruiting at some of our Title I schools, tagging on to those family and community engagement nights. I was invited to be a part of Pawnee's movie night last year, which was really fun, and to just let people know in the community that we have jobs, and those of you that are interested, we would love for you to join our teams. The district bilingual night that was held, we were not a part of this version of it, but we plan to be a part of that in years to come, as well as an effort that I've been a part of where we're attending some of the refugee support networks where individuals are receiving their work permits and they're looking for employment. So we're doing everything we can to continue to try to be as innovative as we possibly can to find the best workers to support our scholars and the efforts of our school district.
All right. I'm going to shift our focus a little bit to our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work. So since the implementation of the strategic plan, all members of SMSD have engaged in professional development focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. This continues to be a top priority when welcoming new staff and sharing with them the vision of the Shawnee Mission School District. Our new team members were first introduced to this work this year at the New Team Member Academy. We kicked off NTA with a dedicated session on the DEIB work and how it continues to be a strong focus as we work to create a fully unified, equitable, and inclusive culture. We also had a session on creating a safe and inclusive classroom where staff learned ideas and strategies focused on creating that positive classroom culture and fostering a sense of belonging for all students. We are also working on growing our equity practitioner team. So we've had a group of 30 equity practitioners that split up to support the different buildings in the feeder areas, but we are excited to grow our team to be almost double. We're moving to a model where each building will have an equity practitioner that will be on their building DEIB team, and they will act as a building level leader and district liaison to support the planning and implementation of the ongoing equity work as they help drive building specific goals for DEIB and SEL work. I'm excited that I will be getting to meet this team on Friday for the first time, where part of our work will be setting some new goals, focusing on our district WIGs and building specific needs. I'm also excited to share about a partnership with the iCoaches, creating a DEIB specialty group. This will be a brand new cadre group, and my hope is that this group can focus on examining data of different subgroups and culturally responsive teaching practices. And then finally, a little bit about our affinity groups. So in accordance with the board policy AC, we support the establishment of affinity groups, which are assemblies of these underrepresented individuals who have common interests, backgrounds, and experiences that come together to support each other. So these affinity groups are intended to support our underrepresented staff and students at the Shawnee Mission School District socially, emotionally, and professionally. And they were born out of the strategic plan work in Strategy 222 to recruit and retain underrepresented staff within the school district. So currently we have 4 established affinity groups: the Latinx staff affinity group, Asian American staff affinity group, Black staff affinity group, and the LGBTQ community group. I've met with all of the leaders, and they are currently working on organizing their first meetings for the year and getting connected with all the new team members. We are also working on enhancing our communication loop with these groups to include representation on the DEI Superintendent Advisory Group and having a chance to meet quarterly with district administrators to support, to hear and learn how we can support these groups better and these different populations of staff and students.
As part of this work, we have committed to ensuring equitable hiring practices. Our first step in the equitable hiring practices commitment was to make changes to our administrative hiring practices and procedures. This involved our HR leadership team taking a close look at the application that we were using for our administrative positions, the screening process that we used, as well as the various parts of the interview process. The next step in that work was to involve Dr. Price with Lively Paradox. She met with our entire district leadership team last year to complete preliminary work around equitable hiring processes. During this school year, we plan to continue this work around equitable hiring practices by exploring software systems that will allow for an increased number of applicants to be included in the administrative hiring process. Also, additional work and training will take place with a specific focus on training our building level administrators, and Caitlin is going to talk a little bit more about that.
So actually, this past week, we met with that Train the Trainer group. So that is comprised of building administrators and district leaders, and got some feedback for our upcoming training plan. So we actually gained some really good feedback and are modifying our training to be 2 sessions instead of 1, so it is a little bit more consumable and applicable for our building leaders. We hope to target this learning to address bias and barriers in the interviewing and the hiring process, as well as creating strategies that are more inclusive for all candidates to have a more positive employee experience. We hope that these trainings for our building administrators will help them understand any updated tools and processes and better identify any blind spots that we may bring to this process. And alongside this development of our trainer group, we are working on a job description work group. So this group is working on a current pilot with our food service department, and they are reviewing the different job descriptions to make sure that our current staff can give some feedback on the accuracy of the essential tasks. And then we hope to continue this pilot with our operations management department. It is our intent to really eliminate any language that may present an unconscious gender or racial bias and any areas that would show discrimination based on age or disability. Our goal here is really to analyze where there may be barriers in the current job descriptions for applicants and create job descriptions that are inclusive and help lay the groundwork for a more inclusive workspace.
So at the beginning of this presentation, I say that we're going to tell our story through the lens of our greatest resource, our people. Well, that includes this team around the table. So I want to take this opportunity to publicly recognize the best HR team around. Thanks, guys. Great job. They've just taken you through some incredible new initiatives. They've shown you again that this team does not rest on previous successes. We're constantly looking for ways to move from good to great. Again, this slide shows some examples of our people. I also wish to thank the small but really representative group that helped us tonight. They did an incredible job, I think, so thanks to them. And at this time, we will stand for any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you. You really brought this report to life. It's a very dense report, so I really appreciate, you really did, and particularly speaking from multiple voices. And a particular shout out to Olivia, Javen, Margot, Roderick, Sarah, Shelby. Thank you all for being here and joining in and sharing your perspectives. It really is really helpful for us to hear from you all. Dr. Hubbard, before I open up to questions, is there anything you want to?
No, I'll let you guys go ahead
Okay.
and I'll finish.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to open it up to the floor here for questions. Yep. Ms. Owsley, please.
So I know there was some recruiting for some time at historically black colleges and universities. Are we still participating in those recruitment efforts? Can I ask, what do we tell folks? What is you have one line to say to folks as to why they should come up here to Shawnee Mission, presumably states away from where they've grown up or been educated? Like how are you selling us? I'm super curious.
Well, I always enter in just even my own personal experience with the district, and also one who grew up as in a neighboring district. But I let them know what it looks like. I let them know about the initiatives that we are pushing and promoting, the professional learning that is here that's allowed, the historical significance of the Shawnee Mission School District, being one of the largest school districts in the state of Kansas, and sharing with them what we offer. In addition to the nice benefits that we have of having a fitness center, also having the medical facility, the ongoing professional development that's offered at a very top tier. Our work with Solution Tree, that perks their ears to know that we have professional learning communities, and understanding that we are a district that is trying to grow in the direction that looks like our community as well. So when I go to Oklahoma, many of them think Shawnee, and they think of their area of the city, Shawnee, and I'm like, no, we're Shawnee Mission in Kansas City, the Kansas City area. And so they're attracted that it's something that's different for them. And then just the fact of being in the Kansas City metro area is something that's attractive to those who I've gone and met with at Pine Bluff and the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, as well as Langston University in Oklahoma.
Talking about the Chiefs doesn't hurt either.
That's true.
Unless they're a fan of someone else, but then we get that conversation started, so.
And I would also add that I think it's about sharing our story and being personable and authentic. And, everybody's really inspired by our DEIB work and the diversity of our district. And they love that. That attracts them to our district. And I think we also talk about the opportunities for you as a professional, that you can have a career in Shawnee Mission and have so many different opportunities for you, from the classroom to, being an interventionist and being an ELL coach and being on a curriculum cadre. There's just so many opportunities, and you're going to have so much support. And I think when you share that story and you really connect with them personally and what they're looking for in a district, then that's how you make that connection and then follow up and develop that relationship.
I really liked what you had on the slide that said diversity is a fact, equity is a choice, inclusion is an action, and belonging is an outcome, both for the socio-emotional health benefits for staff and students, but then we know we're going to thrive, or we're going to be able to succeed if we have that sense of belonging in our community. So I really appreciated that inclusion on the slide. Thank you, guys.
Ms. Embry.
Yeah, I just wanted to first say thank you so much. I feel like your guys' new hashtag could be challenge accepted, coined by Dr. Jones, because I see so many things in here that I'm like, I've always wanted us to do this, and here we are doing it. Having the retention data made me so very happy. So thank you guys for all the work that you do. I wanted to especially call out how proud I am of the investment we've made in professional development. I know that that's a new position we've had in the last few years, and I see so clearly the dividends that are paying off from that for our teachers every single day. And I've heard such great responses about New Teacher Academy. I actually had a very tenured teacher call and say, I saw that video from New Teacher Academy and I would like a redo, because none of that happened when I went through New Team Member Academy. He wanted a redo. So thank you for that, and thank you for reporting on all the retention data. If I have one challenge to leave you with, because you guys are accepting all of them. Yep. I would just love, I think in previous times we've had some of that climate and culture data, and I think it's just so important to have a regular touch point with our teachers, particularly for retention, because there's not as much good information out there about retention, and we can do all this hard work getting folks in, and if we can't keep them, then we've done a whole lot of hard work for nothing. So I know there's work in progress for that. Could you update us on where things are?
Yeah, so challenge accepted. We will accept that. So yeah, we've pulled together a district survey committee that Dr. Stubblefield and I are leading, and our hope is to really consolidate all of the different ways in which we assess our staff into maybe one or two. We'll see how tight we get, but to do that year over year. So we hope to be able to report out next year.
Thank you.
I just have a comment. Great report, and it just must be really fulfilling for you to take the challenge to really diversify our workforce, and it's working. I mean, you can really see those strides. So just great work.
Thank you.
And 3 things piqued my interest, not that you need to respond to them, but I will be watching well, let me start with this. The position that I have now in my career was solely due to the job description really speaking to what am I doing day 1 and 2 and 3, right? So that really piqued my interest, that you all are really taking the moment and the time and listening to what others have said to really dig deeper on that. And I would love an update later as the stats and data comes in on the train the trainer and what comes out of that. That process. And then if you can speak to this, and then of course I would like more data later, looking at the new software, someone mentioned that. What, if you can explore that a little bit more or not, but I would love to have an update later as to what that will reveal, what vendors were looking at, things of that sort.
So a little insight into that is it allows us to put questions out to, say you have 100 applicants. We're not going to bring 100 applicants in to interview. We may bring 7 or 8 in. There are software systems that allow for questions to be asked of applicants and then them to be able to give short responses in a very tight time limit. So it allows us to expand the number of people that we can get our eyes on without bringing all of them in for a first round interview. So that's what we're really trying to do to make sure that we're not missing people through our screening process. So kind of another layer onto our screening process.
And I think along with that is the more people that we get to meet and we get to learn about them and their strengths and what they can bring to our district, that maybe even if that's not the right position for them, we can say, how do we get you into our district? And, you know, where are your skills right now, and looking at them for a candidate for another position. So really just giving people opportunity and helping to connect with their strengths and to how they can support our students and be a part of our team.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to check in with Mr. Stratton. Do you have any questions for the team here?
Thank you for the presentation. No questions.
Okay. Ms. Borgman, it's kind of hard to do this remotely.
Yeah, I have a question. First of all, thank you guys so much for the presentation. It was excellent. To the students who attended tonight, thank you so much for sitting through this meeting. We are so grateful to hear your perspective on your experience with the different programs. Margot, I have a question for you. It's Brooks's mom, Jamie. I love that you took part in Mrs. Dent's teaching program at Northwest. Did this give you a new appreciation for teachers?
Yes.
Yes, she said yes, but she's not coming up to the podium. You don't have to.
No.
Yes, definitely.
You don't
it
have
shows me a better insight into like what a teacher's lives are and like how much work they actually do. Because I feel like a lot of students just look into like what the teacher's doing during the school day, and then afterwards they don't see how much work they actually do after, and how much like the grading process is, getting like the lesson plans made. Like there's a lot that goes into teaching that I didn't know before and that I found a new appreciation for by doing the class.
Well, that is wonderful. So thank you so much for doing that. And then, and thank you again for being here tonight. And then one just follow-up question. Pam, I thought it was interesting. I believe you talked about the retention and you looked at the corporate world and you decided to kind of change your practice based on what you kind of gleaned from doing some research into how the corporate world maybe retains its employees. And I just was wondering like 1 or 2 things that you've done differently as a result through your investigating and learning.
Well, first of all, we really met as a team and listened to the voices of the teachers, and I think that's what's most important. And so we generated a lot of different ideas. After we identified those 5 pillars, we identified a lot of different ideas together, and then we kind of weighted those and said, what can we do that we can be consistent and actionable in? I'm really excited about those career connections and those leadership conversations. It's really important that we keep investing in our staff and providing them opportunities to lead, and we need that across the district in so many different areas, and that graphic shares that with our teachers, and those individual conversations they're just crucial. You get such fulfillment when you mentor others and then support them in leading, and there's so many opportunities for that, and we need to connect people with that. We're really focused in as well on professional learning, and again, giving that direct feedback, and really appreciate the opportunity for that focus group to sit down. And I know our teachers saw direct action from that feedback, and that's what's really important. You can take feedback, but if you don't do anything with it, what's the point? And so we're really following up with actions and being consistent with it. And then we're really focused in on culture and really bringing the district together and supporting each other and recognizing each other, as well as that work-life balance and well-being. And when we met with our kickoff team with SMSD Recruit, we talked about how do we share our story, and we talk about what's different in our recruiting process that sets us apart, and then also how do we work to retain our newest employees and our employees that have been with us for some time. And they really appreciated and talked a lot about that well-being and balance piece, and how as a district we talk about that. And we are open about it and authentic that this is a hard job, and we're in it together, and we have the supports for you, and then really sharing what those supports are, and our teachers being able to share that experience as well. So just excited about the work of SMSD Recruit. It continues to grow. It's a larger team this year. It's a more diverse team, and just their impact on recruitment, but also on retention. It's pretty exciting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Borgman. Okay, I have a couple of questions. I think my first one might be for Dr. Jones, just trying to understand the fill rate and the vacancies within the the classified positions. So I know there's been a lot of effort to increase the compensation for those positions. And so looking at just the number of vacancies from 2019 to 2023, am I understanding this correctly? There are 30 more positions here, so the FTE. So if those 30 positions weren't there, we actually would have been ahead of the game compared to the last year in terms of initial fill rates. Is that?
That is
correct?
absolutely accurate. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so we have to kind of temper that with maybe the impact of the increased salaries.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned that very eloquently, that had we not had those positions, those new positions added on towards the end of really even the end of the year, we would have saw something a little bit different. But even with that, we were also able to fill quite a few of those positions. We also have had some other services that we're using to support in some of those center-based classrooms. So Sherry Demuline and her team have been extremely supportive and helpful in making sure that the principals are getting the ideal candidates, they're getting them interviewed. Our principals are being very diligent about making sure that those who apply, they're vetting their applications to ensure that if someone's a quality for our district, that they will interview those individuals. So yeah, we're definitely seeing a reduction, and we continue to receive recommendations to hire on a daily basis. So that's a great thing.
Great, thank you very much. And then I had a question about the climate survey that we'll probably hear more about. But I applaud our efforts to develop something that really works for the district. One of the challenges when you kind of do a homegrown versus commercially available, and maybe it is actually looking at commercially available surveys, is that ability to compare our climate to, across kind of a statewide or regional or national. So it helps give us information about contextually what's happening and better understanding what might be happening locally if we have that comparison to other districts across the state or across the country. Is that something that we have to pick and choose how we can manage that capacity for comparison by developing our own.
So we have our own that we've been using for multiple years. The problem is it hasn't been consistently given at the same time, especially over the last 3 years, and mostly because of COVID. And to be honest, there's no great time,
Right.
in the last 3 years, there hasn't been a great time to give it. And we did give it, I think, the last week of April last year, and the most recent comparison we have to that is 2019, if I remember correctly. And the results are about what you would expect. Not a huge difference from 2019, but definitely morale and culture is a little bit lower, climate a little bit lower than it was in 2019, which I don't think surprised any of us. We can share that draft data with you. But I think the biggest challenge we have right now is timing. First of all, it takes a long time to do it, and we're asking teachers to spend 45 minutes to an hour to really give us some feedback in days when they're already tired and ready to go home now, right? So that's probably our biggest challenge right now, is trying to decide what are the most important questions to ask, how can we pare it down so that it's not, because honestly, if we put all the surveys together, 2 hours, 3 hours, it would take
easy.
someone.
Yeah.
And so that's too long, and we know that. And so we have to figure out what's the most important thing to ask, how we can pare it down, and most importantly, when's the best timing to give it. So this next one that we give, I think, will be our new baseline, if you will, trying this new approach. Because even the one we gave last spring, in my opinion, was too long. So, but everybody wants to ask questions. Dr. Schumacher's team wants to ask questions.
Okay.
Professional learning wants to ask questions. The nurse wants to ask questions, right? And so when you start adding them all up, it just becomes this massive instrument tool.
Okay, so the goal is really to focus on building a longitudinal data set, at least internally, that's kind of timed over the year, that's really tight and reflects the most pertinent questions to all the different
Correct.
departments
That's
and
accurate.
voices across
Yep.
the district.
Correct.
And kind of that national or external comparison is kind of one step
I don't
further.
know of a tool that would meet our needs that would give us nationally normed
And would give us valuable internal information.
I do not. And I think if
Okay.
that existed, Dr. Grumman would have already brought it to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely on the team, and he hasn't brought anything forward, so.
Okay. I appreciate that work quite a bit. And then my last question is, or my last comment is just kind of an observation. I was thinking about the retention data and looking at the turnover rate. And also kind of one of the ways I was thinking about it is that so looking at the number of actual individuals that may be leaving the profession, it is 51 out of 2,000 or so. So we're looking at like 2.5%. So I appreciate of those where we have turnover, there are percentages, but overall as a whole, or even, maybe some staff going to another district, it's 2% of our entire teaching profession. So I think it's helpful to think of both of those numbers.
Yeah, we agree, but we also want to dig into that and find out why, so, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to give that shout out, because you were doing there's been a lot of very intentional work to create an environment that not only draws people in, but retains them, so I appreciate that.
Is it safe to assume, I don't remember seeing this, but if a person is making a move upward, like I'm a teacher and I'm moving to be an assistant principal in another district, that's just leaving the district, right?
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see, because I know of two personally that took administrative jobs, and so it wasn't like they were bailing completely, it was an
Personal
opportunity.
Advancement, yeah. Yeah, we didn't pull it out that way, yeah.
All right. Well, I believe that is all of our questions. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the time.
All of you.
Thank you.
Really
Appreciate it.
appreciate this. Very
Yeah, just real quickly,
valuable.
I just want to say thank you to all the teachers in the room that are ready to go home. I know it's been a long day for you, so thank you for being here. And Margot, thank you for joining us. You were amazing. It's not easy to talk in front of adults, and I don't know if you know this, but you were also live streamed on YouTube. So you were amazing. You were amazing.
You did a great job. You really did.
So, and thank you to the HR team. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, that's resume material. That was good. All right, so we have a second update from our item 3.2, student athletic participation.
Yeah, so Kent Glaser will be here to just share some athletic participation numbers with us tonight. I don't think he has a whole team with him.
A team of one
I was
representing
told I had
student
twice as
engagement.
long as HR. In regards to our athletic participation, good evening, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to be here again. But in regards to our athletic participation, I do have some slides to share with you. Again, they go back consistently to show us some historical data, but they also tie into our strategic plan. And specifically, that is that every student will develop interpersonal skills to be engaged, empathetic member of the local and global community. So keeping that in focus, that is largely the reason we do have our athletic and activity programs. Last year I shared some of the same information. I didn't include it in the presentation. I wanted to this year to also show that that's out there for the public to see. But I think we all know that high school athletic programs have been studied for well more than a century, and I'm quoting from this article. We all know that there's a focus that helps us foster a collective identity and generate pride for participants and community members. The studies evolved to clarify how participation brought about improvements in physical health, stress management, and academic benchmarks. Today, there are numerous studies that focus on all types of benefits, but what sometimes goes unappreciated is what this article focuses on, and that's what occurs after high school. And so I just wanted to bring focus to that again one more time. 3 of the most important takeaways that students can practice after graduation are a stronger sense of self-confidence in building relationships with others and having an expanded capacity for empathy. Number 2 is developing a better understanding of self, and in doing so, understanding how their actions affect others. And then 3, building foundations for lifelong fitness habits. And ultimately, we're trying to set our students up for success after high school. So with that, some of these historical numbers that I want to go through, we'll break this up as high school participation and then middle school participation. The high school I did break down traditionally, as we've done before, into their 3 seasons, fall, winter, and spring. Just to keep note that we did have the pandemic. We know that there was a big effect with that, but the participation numbers have steadily improved, and we are currently near or above our pre-pandemic numbers. We're showing additional increases for this fall, and the following charts will show you that. So here is 8 years worth of our fall participation for Shawnee Mission School District. And if you go to that last bar, the 23-24 fall, right now, we are at 2105, 2,105 students participating. So we're within 45 students of an 8-year high. So I would say that we've gone back to our pre-pandemic numbers, and we are having good success with participation at our secondary level. So those are the fall season. These next few slides obviously haven't occurred, so they are 7 years worth of data. But these numbers too, they're showing that the participation level is there. Keep in mind that the winter participation is our smallest participation group because most of these are cut sports. We're limited to the season it is, and most of them are indoors. So we don't have a track program or a non-cut sport where we have lots of participation because most of these are occurring indoors. So that's just with these, you just typically see that stay more static across there. So we're not necessarily looking for that growth. Then with the high school spring season, there was a significant drop off, and that was when the pandemic really affected everything. We have not fully recovered from that. But we're seeing those trends from this year's fall and winter and our participation in the middle schools that we're seeing those still on the upward slope. So to me, that is encouraging to see. But I wouldn't say that we have fully met the bar of where it was pre-pandemic. But this will be the only slide that I show you tonight that doesn't meet that. So keep that in mind as well. Our middle school participation rates, again, they were affected. We, and along with your support, last year we introduced 7th grade basketball. That had a very positive impact. And we know that this year in the spring we're going to have soccer, and that will have another positive impact in our participation numbers. So if we look into our past there again, we already have exceeded with our middle school numbers are at an all-time high over 7 years. And we anticipate that to go well beyond that because of soccer, and then a year from now with football. So again, I appreciate the district's efforts, support, and specifically the board's support in having those opportunities expanded for the middle school. And I think those numbers are going to show and pay dividend to those that continue on into their high school careers later. So in summary, our participation numbers continue to improve. The onset of that pandemic did have a profound impact, but we're pleased to see them back on track and in more normal rates. The past year, we saw an increase in our number for our middle school students, and some of this, like I mentioned, is attributed to our 7th grade basketball, and we're poised to see additional opportunities for our middle school increase those numbers of participation as well. And we're currently seeing the fall participation numbers in our high school show that a strong interest remains, and we are within 45 students of an 8-year high, like I mentioned before. And we continue to encourage participation as research consistently shows student achievement and participation go hand in hand. So our high school programs deserve our support, and our students in turn then give us their best in the classroom. So that's the numbers that I wanted to go through and kind of give you a snapshot of where our athletic participation looks like. And if you've got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
All right, thank you so much. It's good to see the numbers coming back in the participation rates. Do we have any questions? Ms. Humbury?
I had just a quick one. I know we've added a couple sports at middle school. Have our sports at the high school level changed at all? Have we added or subtracted anything at the high school level recently?
We really have not added, but if you remember kind of prior to my tenure in this position, that we did bring on unified bowling. So that's the latest addition, but there past that, with the Activities Association, it's pretty well static as to the number of athletics programs that are offered.
Thank you.
This might be more of a question for Dr. Hubbard, I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about, your opening point about the whole, one of the reasons why one of the benefits of having opportunities for participation in sports and activities, right? It's promoting student engagement, creating that sense of belonging and opportunity for students and post-secondary readiness. So do we have access to data that would let us know whether we're seeing rates of participation proportional to our student population in terms of some of those barriers like free and reduced lunch participation? Is that something?
We could get that data.
Just thinking about what those barriers are to participation, if we see those kinds of gaps or not.
That report doesn't currently exist. We would have to create it, but we could create it out of our database.
So I know I'm an N of 1, and so I respect that, but just food for thought.
Okay, thank you.
I'm assuming that if there are barriers to participation, that the high school principals have methods to, like funds that they are able to help students, that maybe if there's a participation fee or something that kids might need, that the coaches know to contact like the athletic director at each high school or the principal, correct?
So there's already a process in place if you are a free student or a reduced student in regards to removing that fee completely, depending on what your status is, yes. And we do that on a regular basis at our high schools.
So for like equipment or anything like that,
Absolutely.
there's love funds and that kind of thing that exists
Absolutely.
within the high schools to be able to help kids, if there's a participation fee for like a theater program either, and to be able to help with those. I'm assuming that those exist at all 5 high schools, correct?
Absolutely. As well as the foundation would support that as well.
Okay. Thanks. Ms. Housley?
I was just going to echo what Sarah was talking about with regards to booster clubs that help provide even equipment and uniforms, shoes
absolutely.
and stuff. I mean, cleats get,
Right.
you just don't want them to not get used anyway. So there are a lot of parent groups that coordinate that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
guys.
Okay. All right, we have a number of consent items, beginning with 4.1 and taking us through 6.1. If I have a motion, if there's no request to remove any consent items, can I have a motion to approve 4.1 through 6.1?
Move approval, Goodburn.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Hembry.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 And we might have lost Mr. Stratton. Mr. Stratton? Okay. All right. Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right. We have a couple of action items. The first 4 are second reads on board policy. And our first one is 7.1, approval of revised board policy AG, closing school building. Dr. Hubbard, is there anything you want to add to that?
I would just reiterate that this is a second read. I did not receive any revision suggestions on this one, and this is a policy that KASB is recommending to promote compliance with changes to the Kansas state statute regarding closure of school buildings, which will be effective January 1 of 2024.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval, Goodburn.
All right. Second? All right. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right, 7.2, approval of revised board policy BBAA, board member authority and responsibilities. This is also a second read, and we actually have 2 options here. We have an option A and an option B, and option A is will both have some typographical changes, but option A is addressing an explicit response to new state statute regarding payment of board members. And option B is basically silent on that new state option. So board members can vote on whether or not to pay themselves for their work. So option A is an explicit no, and option B is silent. Is that, does anybody want to, so I'm going to actually, well.
I
is there
would
any-
add,
Yeah.
option A would be coming before you because of a change in recent state law, where option B would just be semantics. We're just changing semantic things. Because while there is a change in state statute, the policy that we currently have would still be legally correct. But we went ahead and added that second revision because of just trying to get all the board policies succinct in regards to capitalization and the things we've been working on with the other policies and policy review committee.
And this state statute is a little bit different from, say, from policy AG that we just talked about, in that this is not a state mandate, but a option that was added by the legislature that boards can choose to act on.
That is correct.
Okay. So I am going to open it up to board members to make a motion for either option A or B. And then we can go from there.
I'll move for option A. Elsley?
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, so now let's open it up to discussion. Okay.
The reason I think that we need this in there, we always talk about our policies reflecting current board practice, and this is current board practice. It also puts it, I think it's appropriate to put it in policy because if a board would decide or want to pursue maybe being compensated at some point and wanted to change it, you'd have to do it in a really public and transparent way by revising this board policy again. You could put it in our board manual, but the problem with that, I think, is just a little bit, in my opinion, would be less transparent because it's in the middle of a document that's about, I'm not sure how many pages it is long, but it's a few pages long. And so I think leaving this here is the appropriate place to put it. And again, it reflects current board policy. If a board at some point, I will be gone here shortly in a few months, but if a board at some point, would want to revisit this or visit with this, they could, meet in maybe a board workshop and talk about opportunities or whatever they'd want to do, and then vote in a public manner on revising this board policy. But that's my take on it.
Okay.
And also, if someone was interested, maybe potentially, because it does say other than reimbursement for expenses pursuant to board policy BBBF, if you look at BBBF, it talks about, potentially reimbursing folks that sit on the board, like say when we go to Topeka for KSB meetings and you get reimbursed, for your mileage, or when we get reimbursed potentially for going to different conferences, and, we have to, there's a manner in which we do that. And if there was some other expense, I suppose that, someone was interested in getting put on that list of, that would be the place to do it in BBBF. So, I don't know.
Okay.
That's my.
Okay.
I will be supporting option B. I just think we don't need to be clarifying. We don't need to be clarifying that here. It's unnecessary. If we adopt policy B, it's not like, or option B, we will not suddenly be compensated tomorrow. A lot would have to happen for that to start taking place for our board. I feel like we're kind of reacting to an open door that the legislature gave us somewhat reflexively. And I think there is a real conversation to be had. This is, in my opinion, not the right time to be having it, but a cornerstone of our strategy as a board is creating inclusive cultures. And part of having uncompensated board service, I recognize that it takes a real level of privilege to be able to give our time in the way that so many of us do. And that's not a level of privilege that everyone has. So I think some sort of nominal compensation comparable to what city council members are paid, or state legislators are paid, is really reasonable and would potentially create a wider pool of candidates for our board. Single parents with young children, people with disabilities, English language learners. I think the way that we operate right now makes it really hard for people without at least some level of privilege to be part of this board.
I was going to jump in, since you made the motion, did you want to add a comment before I jump in?
I can speak to my reason for supporting it is that in looking at school districts that do pay their board members, I'm not certain that the outcome is necessarily one where there's increased inclusion, but perhaps you're ending up in a situation where once compensated board members may be taking on roles that are outside the scope of what I view the board to be. I think we're here to represent our community and not necessarily do like the day-to-day running or operation of the district. And so it is supposed to be a volunteer position in that, this is not a job. This is a few hours of volunteer work. I do think that the last few years have not been reflective of what board service typically looks like, because we did all put in a significant amount of free overtime, but that significant outlier aside, I feel like with my history of PTA involvement and other parental involvement, I actually think perhaps board membership takes up slightly less time, and that the PTA membership takes up a significantly more time. And so there's so many parents in our district that are volunteering between like Booster Club or PTA or, you know, however it is that they're volunteering. And I see that as similar to our role. It's just our role happens to be here at the dais and not in a paid position. And so I feel like it is changing the nature of the role of a board member. And so in order to be clear, I agree with the adoption of the policy to say that this is not something that we're interested in doing. And to be frank, I have no idea where the money would come from. I don't know. I mean, I understand the intention. I just, like, from what the budget is, I just
Option
don't.
B would not actually result in us being compensated. It would result in us continuing to operate exactly how we have.
That is correct. But I support putting something out there that says we have no interest in redirecting funds from anything else towards board members. Like, I just don't. And that's just my position for where I'm at right now. So I'll close on that.
I would agree with that too, because I'll interject really quick, just because of the fact that too, just because it has been mentioned out there that the legislature now allows it, I think we need to then be reactionary and put something in there saying that we're not going to do that, because it is out there saying that we could. So it, you know, I think it's good to have it in, you know, just to be explicit and put it in there.
So my inclination was with making a statement more on the lines of option A here and being explicit, largely because the legislature, while they opened up this issue of board compensation, provided no allocation of funds for it. So if we were to do this, it would come out of the classroom, essentially. It would come out of operating budget. So I felt like this particular piece of legislation was quite a disservice by the legislature because they didn't fund it, right? There's no separate funding allocation for it. I mean, the other piece too is I think, at least within our area, one of the bigger barriers and hurdles to running for school board is the cost that has, the cost of running for school board has gone up excessively just in the last several years, which I think is probably a greater barrier than maybe expenses serving on the board in terms of maybe need for daycare. And so, Ms. Goodburn, you mentioned that there is a list of items under policy BBF. Is that something that the policy committee explored, so that if there is a need for daycare for somebody, you know, for babysitting services while they're at the meeting, is that something that could be added to the list as something of a legitimate reimbursement? I just was curious. I don't need an answer, but I was curious if that was discussed.
No. It wasn't discussed.
It was not discussed, but it might be of interest if that was something you wanted more information on, because the Kansas State ethics permits campaign funds to be spent on child care expenses, just as an FYI. So if that was something that people wanted to look into, you can potentially have campaign funds pay for child care.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments?
I'd like to chime in. First of all, Jessica, thank you so much for bringing this to light. I really appreciate you sharing this perspective on things. I am on the policy committee, and when we reviewed this policy, it didn't cross my mind. And so I do appreciate, the fact that we do have 2 reads so we can really talk about these things and make sure that we're getting it right. And, this hasn't been an easy one for me, because I absolutely understand the need for, a deeper candidate pool, to try to include more people, to invite more people to the table. And I've kind of fallen where Dr. Sinclair is landing, and that's just running is expensive and is a huge barrier. And so I think if there is, an opportunity where we could look as a board, perhaps if, childcare is a major issue for a board member, perhaps there could be a grant or something that would not divert funds away from the classroom, because I just feel like, every dollar that we can just put into our kids in the classrooms is money well spent. And again, I don't know where this pot of money is coming from since the state didn't give it to us. And so that would be my concern. But once again, I just applaud Jessica for raising this point because it was definitely missed by the Policy Review Committee. And I think it's a great discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Borgman. I would concur. I think it is a really important discussion to have. So I'm glad we're doing this at the dais. So any other thoughts? I get the sense that this entire board is committed to the idea of promoting opportunities and equitable inclusion and participation. What the state legislature has proposed, I think, falls way short of meeting that objective. So I think if we don't have any other discussion, we should take a vote on option A, the motion as it stands. Right? So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. So motion passes 5-1. And I believe then that really kind of closes the door there on that. So thank you for that discussion. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Item 7.3, approval of revised board policy, GARID, the military leave. And I'm going to look to you, Dr. Hubbard, on this.
Just a reminder, this is a second read. I did not receive any revisions. This is a KASB recommendation for minor revisions to align with the policy with the applicable federal law.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval. Oh, go ahead.
So move Boyd and Rona.
I'll second it then.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And our fourth board policy is 7.4, approval of revised board policy GAAF, emergency safety intervention. Dr. Hubbard.
So again, another second read. I did not receive any revisions. These policy revisions are recommended by KASB to reflect changes made to state regulations regarding the definitions and use of emergency safety interventions, also known as ESI.
Okay. And do I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Owsley.
Okay. Second?
Goodburn.
Okay. Any discussion, questions?
I had a couple questions, not necessarily specifically to the language of the policy, but regarding, some of the background on, how decisions are made to contact law enforcement, since law enforcement is exempted as pursuant to the statutory language from the seclusion and restraint restrictions. And Dr. Hubbard and team were able to get me information on that decision tree process and what that looks like and the training that officers have on working with youth populations. And so that made me feel comfortable in making the motion and supporting it this evening. But I wanted to make sure folks know that they've gotten information to me and that it was helpful.
Okay,
So.
great. Anything else? Ms. Borgman?
No, thanks for checking in, though.
Okay, all right. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right, thank you. And then our final action item is 7.5, approval of 2-year agreement to purchase natural gas from Symmetry Energy Solutions. Dr. Hubbard.
So I'm recommending that the district enter into a 2-year agreement to purchase natural gas from Symmetry Energy Solutions for the period of November 1st, 23 through October 31 of 25. Based on recent cost and past activity, the district estimates that we will spend approximately $800,000 with Symmetry each year. And although natural gas utility costs are subject to fluctuation, this expense will be funded with general operating funds.
All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Move approval, Hembry.
And a second?
Second Boyd and Rona.
All right, thanks. I just want to appreciate the work done here in trying to cap or protect the district against a big spike in costs. And, so kind of putting a cap on costs, but having that 2-year kind of parameters around that. So thank you for the work there.
Definitely helps with the budget estimates.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right. Does anyone have any comments? Any of our board members?
I have.
Ms. Ousley?
I just have two. One, I somehow feel like I just have to recognize that today is 9/11, and all of us are old enough to remember that, but it would seem remiss to not mention it. And then also, Rosh Hashanah is coming up, and we will not have a meeting again prior to Rosh Hashanah. So, Lashana Tova to all of our folks who celebrate, and that is it. We'll see you guys in October.
Okay. Anyone else? Ms. Goodbar?
Looking forward to the breakfast on Wednesday.
Yeah.
You can still buy your tickets.
All right. Well, that concludes our meeting, and we'll see you all again October 9th. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.